Looks like a spotted bass. Hey, something a little different today. You know, in the wintertime, we do a lot of videos and stuff on lakes. Those typically the best wintertime fishing, and a lot of that just has to do with clarity. You know, that a lot of those lakes are clear. You can get these fish to fire because they can see your bait. Going to a river today, you know, I don't expect to get a lot of bites. You know, but river fishing can still be really good in the wintertime. You want to find some decent looking water. And the big thing is you have to switch your mindset. It's all about the current. It doesn't matter if it's fall, winter, spring, or summer on a river system. It's all about the current. So what we want is, you know, we're going to look around and fish some, look some, choked up, and just see if we can get bit, you know, and learn something. Just, you know, throughout this video, you're going to hear me talk a lot about current. They probably don't want to be in the strong current, probably more, you know, to the edge in that slack water, being winter time and the water's cold. So we're going to look for deep holes, you know, rock will be a key, brush pile, stumps, anything that they can live on. So the population in this river is not that high, you know, so you're not going to see, you know, big schools on live scope. You know, if we find a school of fish, it's probably going to be 4 or 5, but I'm going to guess it's going to be one here, one there. So up here on this point, you can see the current like ripping around this, you know, these rocks there. You can see the eddy, it runs out in there. These fish on these rivers, it all depends on, number one, is how much current and the time of year. I mean, summertime, those fish will be right up there in it. Wintertime, they probably want to be back, you know, out of it. But still, you know, that's just how a river fish grows up eating is, you know, the current brings it to them. You know, and then spawn, you want to get out of the current. That's where a lot of them spawn is out of it. But it's actually, it's rolling pretty good coming down through there. So that's kind of the stuff we're going to look for, is kind of some eddies, you know, with some rock and some trees, things like that. And here's the thing is you can pull up here today, like we could make the next cast and catch 3 or 4, you know, find a little wad of them and come back in 2 hours. And if the current changes, more than likely these fish are going to set up, you know, according to the change. That's one thing I like about river fishing. It changes daily. It's almost, you know, kind of like a tidal water. These fish move based on the current. You know, of course, you get you know, if you're on a river system, you get back out of it, they're pretty consistent. They're going to stay pretty much where they're at. But if you're anywhere around some current, they can move. You know, and I started off this morning cranking this flat A just to, you know, kind of cover some water and be able to see, you know, look around a little bit and just see if we can get a bite. We find something, you know, either with live scope or our eyes, brush pile, rock pile, something like that, then we might drop a jig in there or jerk a rogue over it. You know, if the water was dirtier, I probably would have started with the spinnerbait. But it's one of those, it's a good fishing color. It's just not, you know, and it's 43 degrees, so it's pretty chilly. They're not gonna, today's not the day to be throwing a buzzbait or a spook. You're gonna have to put it in their face to get them a bite. Came off. Did we not start the same way up there the last time? The old bank's, you can almost tell by the looks of it, it's really steep right here. Then it looks like it flattens out up there a little bit. And you know, if I'm cranking or throwing a spinnerbait or something, yeah, tighter the bank gets, the steeper the bank gets, you're going to see, you know, me move up closer so I can fish right down that ledge or right down that drop. And you know, if it flattens out, I'm going to scoot out some. Kind of feeling the jerk bait, but it's just so hard to cover a lot of water, you know, until we kind of nail down where they're at and get on a piece of structure that has a wad of them. It's hard just to take off down the bank jerking. On a river system, they just don't go, you know, I don't care how cold it is. They don't, it's not like they go out in the middle of the channel and get in deep water. They just don't do that. They're just shallow, they're shallow fish. And I mean, I've caught them with that being super cold in 2 foot of water. You just have to find the population, figure out how to catch them. You know, you go to a river, you're gonna, it's hard to do it with one bait, you know what I mean? Because there's not a lot of the same kind of stuff. It's not like, you know, we just pick up a crankbait and go fish rock all day, because there's just not that much of it. Or where I'm fishing today, that's how it is. So, you know, we're gonna, you go by a log, you throw a spinnerbait and pitch a jig and jerk a rogue over a stump, crank rock. They'll surprise you how shallow they'll be sometimes on a river. It'll surprise you too how much they change. Like I've seen it where, you know, you go out and it's 45-degree water temperature, 43, and I mean, a river warms up faster and cools off faster than anywhere else because the water mixes, you know, when you got current. So you get a few warming days. I mean, these dudes will get up there shallow, and you just, when you see one bite, it's just, they're all over it. And then vice versa, it cools off, and you know, you may have to go from a spinnerbait to a rogue or something like that just to slow it down. Finally. So that's 2 bites. We lost the first one, but both of them have been dirt shallow. I think it's just one of them, you know, we got a front come through today, wind's blowing out of the north real hard, and just got high pressure. I think it's just gonna be one of those days we're gonna have to just hit them in the head. I was a little worried on that first because I lost one and I only had him for 3 or 4 seconds. I just got worried about I was reeling the bait, you know, too fast, or I just think he just came off. It was just one of them, his lucky day. But you see there's just a little low notch. You know, it's pretty much a straight rocky bank, but it's got a little bit of depth. You know, when I say a little bit of depth, it's relative to the river. I mean, 10 foot is pretty deep. But still, he was right there. He wasn't in 3 foot of water, if that much, which is just like the other one. Looks like a spotted bass. Big fat spotted bass, and he's gone. That's what happens whenever you haven't had a bite in 2 hours. You get all, he had the bait across his face, and I try to swing him. It's not very smart, and he was way out here. Just wonder if all the fish, you know, that I've been seeing that I've told myself were carp and drum and stuff way out here aren't bass, or some of them ain't bass. You know, we've had really, really nice weather, and then last night we had a front, and you know, just tough north wind, just, you know, not a cloud in the sky, high pressure, and you know, especially places like this, they can get real finicky. I mean, it's like two different places. One day you go and, you know, the weather's good and they're biting and you catch a bunch of fish, and you get like a front come through like this and just ghost town. But, you know, you think you'd bang a bait on the rocks enough that you'd get some bites. And I mean, I've banged just dang near every rock in this river, and we've had 3 bites. I knew I wasn't going to get a lot of bites, so but you think you get more than 3. You know, wintertime, if I had to pick my favorite, it's definitely wintertime. Wintertime, and then that early, like pre-spawn. But wintertime, I think the reason is it's my favorite is because, you know, a lot of times expectations aren't that great. You know, a lot of people sitting on the couch, not going, and you know, if you think about it, you go out and you catch 10 fish in the wintertime, that's usually a pretty good day. Of course, you know, live scopes change that, where they're a lot easier to target in the wintertime, but still, you know, to this day, I mean, I've been doing it for a long time, and there's days that it just gets me. You know, the water temperature is 45 today, which is not terrible. I've caught them a lot of times at 45, but there's days that I do not figure it out. And that's just part of it. And wintertime, I think that's what makes the good days, the great days, so much fun, is you remember these days like this where, I mean, we fished 5 or 6 hours and had 3 bites, and that's it. Just didn't get many bites. Now, you know, earlier I said whenever we came here, I didn't expect to get a lot of bites. You know, if we'd have got 7 or 8 bites today, that would have been a pretty good day. But just not many bites, and that's the hard part whenever you're fishing. You know, everybody says, you know, it's a puzzle and you got to put the pieces together. Well, when you're not getting many pieces, it's hard to put it together. I'm gonna go again tomorrow and make up for it. So, tough day. Thanks for riding along.